So we had started talking about variable stars in the last little lecture. And so what we want to do now is talk about the types of variable stars that are out there. And so variable stars come in different kinds. We have intrinsic variable stars. Those are the ones in which the stars themselves are actually varying, and extrinsic variable stars. For an extrinsic variable star, the star itself is not really varying. So an example, for example, of extrinsic variable stars would be, for example, let's say eclipsing binaries. We had talked about eclipsing binaries before, and an eclipsing binary in which you have two stars orbiting each other, and when one gets in front of the other, it dims out the light. And so that's an eclipsing binary. Other example of extrinsic variable stars is nebular variables. A nebula is a cloud of gas in space. So if you have a star and a cloud of gas going around, when that cloud of gas is getting in front of the star, it gets dimmed down. When the gas gets out of the way, it brightens back up. And so that would be an example of a nebular variable. A rotating variable would be a variable star that's rotating, and as it's rotating, that if it had spots on it, like a big dark spot or a light spot, a hot spot or a cool spot, you know, dark spot being cool, bright spot being hot, as it rotates, it gets brighter and dimmer. Okay. The other possibility is close binary stars. They're very close together, and the gravity is tugging on them. And so as the gravity tugs on them, they're tugged out of round shape. And so as they orbit here, then that's going to change how much you see, and that's going to change the brightness of it. So, for example, for for binary stars, eclipsing binaries, then you can have a star that like Algol, in which the stars are detached from each other, and you get this nice, neat curve here. On the other hand, Beta Lyrae, that's another variable star, there's gas going from one star into the other, so as it goes around, you get a more curved light curve. W Ursa Majoris stars, which are the ones I actually studied in graduate school, the stars are actually touching each other. Mass is going back and forth between the two, and you get an entirely different looking light curve. And so you learn a lot about the stars by looking at the light curves of the stars. Intrinsic variables, it's the next type of variable star we're going to talk about, and they come in different kinds. You have pulsating variables. They get bigger and smaller, and as they get bigger and smaller, they change in brightness. They also change in temperature. They change in size. Eruptive variables. Some violent thing happens on the variable star, and you get a violent sort of eruption, and that can make it brighter or dimmer. Cataclysmic variable, as the name would imply, something truly cataclysmic happens. This would be like an exploding star, and so obviously that's going to change the brightness of it as well. And so these are the different kinds of intrinsic variables that you have. So what we're going to do is we are going to spend a little bit of time specifically on pulsating variables. In particular, one type of pulsating variable, a Cepheid variable star. And so that's what the next lecture is going to talk about, is primarily Cepheid variables, but other pulsating variables as well. So pulsating variables is next.